What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Movie Files. Joining me, as always, is little brother Jayce. Bro Shot, what's going on your end? Fresh shaven. I see you've got your Hulk Hogan paint my own mustache going.
Restashed, so I'm feeling good.
Hollywood's feeling pretty good too.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll talk about that. Let's see. There we go. I like that.
There we go. I'm like, yeah.
Zoom is too far away with just two of us.
Yeah.
All right, Chief is recuperating, so he won't be joining us tonight. But hopefully the brothers Lyles will be able to hold it down for y'all tonight. Let's see who all is up here in the chat. What's up, y'all? What's up, Blake? Jeff, Jayce, Chief? Exactly. Question mark. Is he going to be here?
Yeah.
Who can say? 80s kids thank the maker. The actor strike is over. Jeff, Jayce, Chief, and everyone else. It's time to celebrate. Yep. Blake goes a little bit more cynical. Celebrate what? More bad movies? Well,
yeah. Actually, I'll take bad movies versus what I've seen.
Welcome to Cheers, everyone, where everybody knows your name. James Green says, "What's up, Wednesday night movie crew? What is up, James? How you doing?" Ryan Daly says, "What's good, y'all?
What's going on?"
Snake Eyes, hello.
Hello, sir.
Afton Child is here as well. Hey.
What's going on?
Yay. Jamie Parks is in the building.
All right.
What it do, crew? Afton Child, is there any way that we were not going to talk about this Legend of Zelda movie? No, we're going to talk about it for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Afton's been asking about Zelda all week.
So, okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for months and months. Lonzino Bailey, aka Chief, says hello. Go to sleep, Chief.
It's like, I got to go to sleep, but I'm going to text while I'm sleeping. Uh-huh.
He's finding terrible memes for us. That's what he's doing. That's where he's losing all his sleep.
He could be sleeping, or I could send bad memes. Bad memes.
Yeah, the bad memes are winning out. Blaze says, and the Ghostbusters trailer just hit today. Yes, it did. We got a lot of stuff happen today.
Yeah.
Lots of excitement.
Oh, gosh. Funny. Well, I know I'm going to let you set the table. So.
All right, let's start with the strike. The strike is finally over, which means now what, bro? What exactly is going to happen? They've made peace, and after 6 months off, now we can have the stars coming back out, oddly, maybe cynically, just in time for Oscar season, so they could pat themselves on the back, talk about what a great experience it was working with Martin Scorsese, the whole bunch, just in time for them to go. The winner is, and accept their
pat
award.
Myself on the back and my team who hasn't done anything for 6 months.
Yeah, it's going to be, in the mortal words of C-3PO, a nightmare, but it's going to be here. So that means all those films that we've been anticipating in the future, 2024, 2025, should be kind of back on schedule. And so we won't see any prolonged delays for Marvel Legends collectors. I don't know if the strike has been such a bad thing, because Hasbro hadn't been able to make as much Disney Plus and MCU products, so they've had to go a little bit further into the comic book realm of Marvel figures, which is awesome. So we'll see what happens with this upcoming slate of movies and TV shows. One thing that is not going to happen, I'm sorry, what was your thoughts on the strike being over? Are you happy, excited, could care less?
I'm always happy when people can get back to work. Strikes are a lot of times, they're for good reasons. It's like most of the time it's employers are taking too much and not giving enough to their employees. So when the employees actually say, hey, we want to wet our beak, that's always a good thing, and especially when they can do it. Now, when it comes to us on the outside, I think this is really good, because we're going to actually want to go see movies. We're going to want to go see a lot more movies that we were kind of on the fence, because then you can, like I said, you can see the late night shows even on YouTube. You can get those replays of this actor going to this. I'm sure Marvel and Disney are basically like, hey, Brie, can you and all the actors get down to this premiere like now, as soon as possible, whatever we got to do, just to make sure this the Marvels doesn't make expectations. Like I'm sure they're just all of them are just like we're gonna make our money back somehow, some way, and it may be on us consumers like with Netflix and all the streaming revenue, but for in the short term, I think it's a win for everybody.
As long as it keep coming with funky hits. So, let's talk about Brie Larson. She's gonna be starring a movie that opens tomorrow. I thought it was just midnight premieres, but you can go as early as the middle of the day to see the Marvels.
Yeah.
Big time warning. If you heard anything, because there were screeners yesterday, do not post them in the chat. We're on a moratorium of any spoilers, any rumored spoilers for a week. After a week, hopefully you've seen it, but I don't want to spoil anything before everybody gets a chance to see it in theaters if they so choose. But it seems like a lot of people are not choosing to watch or excited about the Marvels because right now, bro, this is trending to be one of the absolute lowest opening weekends for a Marvel Studios film. How low? It's projected, and projections tend to be a little over eager, so this is not great news for Marvel Studios. Typically, it's like, oh, it's projected to go 125 million, and oh yeah, it was actually 135, or a little bit softer than we thought at 120, but it's right in that same ballpark. So honestly, when you factor in blah blah blah, we're looking great. Mm-hmm. This is not looking great. The Marvels right now is estimated to bring in over this weekend $60 to $65 million. That's a big blockbuster Marvel Studios film, the likes of which making, I think the budget was 250 million. So if it opens to 60, let's say 65 million, that's not great. It's so bad that it's going to be one of the worst of Marvel Studios. You're getting all Hollywood. What are you doing? It's okay.
Well,
you're looking fine. You look fine. Okay. You don't need to see the mustache any clearer. Okay. So
it was my life was messing with. Oh.
Yeah. So the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, the second film in this whole deal. And I think maybe that suffered a little bit from the trauma that audiences had from that last Hulk movie. That was back in 2002, 2005. That made 55.4 million. So there wasn't really a lot to worry about at that point. It was okay. It wasn't a total bomb. And, they set the tone. So it was like, okay, cool. And then, Tony Stark showed up in this. So that's the thing, having something at the end of every movie. Oh, okay. And then that was pretty much it for a long time. The last film that kind of underwhelmed at the box office was in 2015 with Ant-Man, and that made 57.2 million in its debut. It went on to have a pretty decent haul domestically and worldwide, enough where Marvel Studios is like, you know what? We're good giving this one a full trilogy treatment, and it's done pretty well, Quantumania notwithstanding. But all is not well with the Marvels right now. It is cracking a whopping and probably disappointing for Marvel 59%. That's not great. And once again, you're seeing, because you take a look at these Rotten Tomato scores for MCU films, and it's kind of like, all right, well, if that's where it's going, that's probably not a great sign.
Yeah, where is that? Most of the time, Marvel movies stay. Before I think Eternals, Marvel movies stayed at least a 70. It was always a C grade. I don't care what Chief says. 70 is C. But I don't think any of them really got under to rotten until this last phase. So what are the majority of critics saying right now?
I mean, I don't want them to spoil anything. I'm not reading a word about
what critics top line, just number.
I'm not looking at anything. So
okay,
it is 58% right now, and that is really bad news because of the company it's keeping. Secret Invasion was 54%. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the outlier at this point with 82%, and it had 94% from the audience, so 82% critics. The fans loved it a little bit more, actually a lot more. So that was a rare one for them. And Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had 46% love from the critics, 82% from the audience. So that gives you a little bit of sign of where things are. Then Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is 83%, 94%. Werewolf by Night absolutely did 89% across, both with critics and
Nobody's messing with that one.
yeah. Now, here's where you see a real discrepancy. She-Hulk Attorney at Law was 77% loved by critics, 32% by the audience. So, and then you had Thor Love and Thunder, which had 63% appreciation from the critics, 76% from
How? Who
fans.
watched it? Did they watch that movie? Anyone? The movie's horrible. Okay.
So that's where, so the fact that
Okay, what was
Marvel's is
Eternals?
where it is
What was
great.
Eternals? That's because that's kind of it's Eternals and Black Widow, the kind of ones.
All right. Well, since
Those
you asked about Black Widow, it was 79%, 91%. So audiences really liked it a lot more than the critics. I think some of the critics were, hey, and this would have been better if it came out earlier.
Right.
Shang-Chi was 92% and 98%. So that was a huge hit, which kind of underscores Chief's point of, hey, you got a big hit. You need to come up with a sequel relatively quick. That was 2021. Heard no peep as of yet with a sequel. Eternals did 47% critics, 77% audience. So another one that's kind of wild.
Okay. Which I'm glad those numbers kind of would kind of disprove what I was hoping I was thinking of that theory, that it was going to be like audiences, somebody's going to extrapolate that MCU fans don't like female leads. And I'm glad that is not the case. It's like, no, some of these people are just burnt out of what they think is not the best storytelling. It seems like I've read a couple of things on the Marvels. It seems it's a lot shorter movie than all the others. This is coming in under 2 hours. There's a whole
5 minutes.
There's a whole lot of characters that you're trying to squeeze into 90 minutes, basically a 90-minute movie, which it's like for us who used to love, 90-minute movies, we crush them out and enjoy them. But when you're trying to go through all this stuff that needs to happen, like, hey, we got to get Ms. Marvel, we have to get Monica Rambeau, we have to make Captain Marvel a big deal, and we have a couple scenes of at least a bad guy in there, and Nick Fury. That's a lot to put in a movie. It almost seems like there's I'm almost worried there's nothing in the movie but action. I mean, it almost seems like, did they try and hit the Dawn of Justice, like in Justice League? Like, we took out the story to put into action. That's kind of that's what's scaring me right now.
So you're going to rewatch Ms. Marvel again. Ms. Marvel was good. I really thought that was fun for what they were trying to do. Could they have had a better villain? Yeah, but I think we're going to see one later on for her. But I thought they did a good job with that. And you said also 80s. I heard the Marvels is pretty good. If you're caught up with everything, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, and anything else, it's about the multiverse. Well, that's good.
Yeah, because it's like that's could be the thing. It's like a lot of times, even like kind of with Ahsoka, oh, I didn't watch XYZ, so I don't know what this is, so I don't like it anymore. At this point in Marvel, you should be very well versed in like, hey, this is everything that's going on with the multiverse saga that we barely talked about. Now, if you watch Loki and WandaVision, maybe then in Ms. Marvel, you have those foundational aspects. You're probably like, oh, this might be a fun movie because I already know this backstory. I can just jump into the action.
Eddie says, I heard we don't need to watch a show about shape-shifting aliens because this movie does it better. Well, that would not take any effort at all to be better than Secret Invasion. So that's a good sign. I'm hoping to see it soon. I'll post my review on loudsmoviefiles.com saying spoilers. So, of course, I'm not going to go, here's everything that happened and my theories on where it leads the MCU tomorrow. Don't worry about that. So I will do the review and hopefully have it up soon. So hopefully we'll be able to break it down maybe as soon as next week if you see it this weekend. Is it on your weekend calendar, bro?
Well, I actually have Friday off, so that's kind of an option. I might see. It's like got to make sure I get my other little errands in, but that may be an option early in the day.
Yes. Celebrate the veterans by honoring Carol Danvers.
Yeah, she was a Army pilot. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
What's your 1 to 10 excitement level with that?
I mean, let me say this. I'm one of the people I love watching. Captain Marvel. I think the movie is phenomenal. I think it is definitely one of the best ones of the MCU. And I don't have that issue because I don't have that much backstory in Carol Danvers. I like the movies. She might have some people. I knew you were saying last week you thought she was kind of boring, but I like the character they portrayed on the screen.
I think they could have made her more exciting. I didn't. I like the movie. I think that their problem they ran into near the end was we've made her too powerful. She doesn't have enough vulnerabilities outside of what's the proper way to say this?
Competence.
Insecurities around dudes. Maybe. I don't know how much of a
it was like basically like it was like almost like the Supreme Intelligence had a chip, and that was all it was. And once she got her confidence, it was lights out universe. If she wanted to destroy the world, she could.
Wow. There's always Phoenix. All right, let's see. 80s Kid says, speaking of theories, let's discuss Loki season 2. No, after the last episode comes out tomorrow. You were a little bit worried about what's going down so far with Loki.
Yeah, like when I was reading an article, and I'm sure Jeff's going to get to other half of it. But when I heard that Loki season 2 is wrapping up tomorrow, it was like, whoa, wait. We haven't touched on half the stuff that I made the assumption that we were going to cover. It's the war for the TVA has not been kind of solved in any kind of thing, unless it's coming up with a basic Flash ending. Like, oh, he unplugged him. Like, oh, he unplugged Miss Minutes, and everything's all back to normal. It's like, that's not that would be kind of lame. Was it Victor Timely? Like, we don't know where that storyline's going. And it's like this is the thing that actually connects to our multiverse. So I want to see how does this help the rest of the MCU. In one episode, just doesn't seem like it's going to get that next bridge. Like, okay, here's what we got. So I'm a little concerned.
I think it's funny that Loki season 2 has been one of their stronger Disney Plus shows, and like they kind of learned the wrong lesson. Like, oh, we need to make these seasons shorter. Well, if you don't have a story, yes, but Loki season 2 has a story and a really great cast, and there's so much open and available that if you wanted, you could have done 10 episodes. I don't know if there'd have been a lot of complaints of, oh man, this is just dragging. Who the heck knows what's going on? I feel like they could have done a lot with this story, and I still would have been like, oh man, okay, I can't wait for Loki season 3. There's a lot of stuff to unpack with it, and I think they can shortcut it and go, yeah, there you go. I don't know how satisfactory that ending could be, or if it's just, all right, here you go. We've served everything up for the next round of wherever this multiverse saga takes us. And, we talked last week about how somebody's already seen it, and it was like, they're screwed if Jonathan Majors has problems because it's so huge and so major. So major.
Okay.
I don't know what's gonna happen on that end.
Okay, so let me say this. Like, remember how you felt when you watched the end of Loki season 1? You were like, oh, this multiverse thing is going to be huge. It just leads out like, oh wow, this is like Kang's gonna be that dude. And basically Marvel's until almost Loki season 2, Marvel's fumbled the ball. So you're very much like, all right, I need you guys to pick it up, actually run it back for that touchdown to get us back to a cohesive Marvel universe that we want. And kind of the weird thing is having Loki season 2 finale on the same day you're really premiering your next big movie is almost like, wait, did you guys schedule this out wrong? Like, shouldn't you have bumped this back a week? I know that the Hunger Game prequel is scheduled for next week, but couldn't you
You've answered your own question. You've answered your own question then.
I would have swapped with them. I mean, like, hey, you take
You
this.
would have put no. They've got that because that's the weekend before Thanksgiving. They're not giving that up and going early. They want people to be excited, going to see the movie, and then telling their family, "Let's go on Thanksgiving to watch this Hunger Games prequel."
Okay, like so if you have, if I not knowing exactly what the movie schedule has been, if I know I'm premiering my big finale TV show on one day, I'm gonna look and it's like, all right, maybe we need to bump that back a week or so, or go up or move it up. Loki could have dropped instead of having wasting your time watching Secret Invasion. Let's switch that one up. Like, I mean, the budget that could have gone to Secret Invasion could have gone to Loki. I would have been much happier with that too.
That's not happening.
But
now you're trying to do revisionist history.
But I mean, it's almost like we're gonna have to, like, some of our audience is not going to see one of our properties. I mean, and that in the long run, I think that's gonna hurt you.
I don't know how it's gonna hurt them. It's just you don't have to watch it on Thursday. You can go on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. Like you said, a lot of people are gonna be off on Friday. But they don't have to worry about, oh no, do I choose between Loki season finale or going to the Marvels? The only time
but that opening day preview number,
Thursday doesn't count to their opening.
No, but
it's like a preview.
No, but
Friday's their big day.
They call it the preview night. And sometimes when you can see these preview numbers are very good, that can get people excited. I know.
Does that get you excited when you see a preview number of a movie? It's like, oh shoot, I do need to go see it. Have you ever done that before?
Like something like for MCU, I may want to go see it a little more because it's like, well, I know if I turn on the TV or internet, somebody's going to spoil the whole dang on movie. So I might need to get onto it a little earlier than I was initially thinking on doing.
If 10 people see it, you run the risk of it being spoiled because 8 of them have a YouTube channel and they're going to unpack everything in the post-credit scene, somebody getting killed, somebody showing up, and they'll be like, ha, gotcha. Bring me my clicks, Trixes.
And
so
honestly,
that's how it goes. Hold on. That's how it goes. And it's just like, So you're going to have to worry about that. You're going to have to be on your social media sabbatical in any case, whether it's 100 million or if it's 6.5 million. You just have, that's how it is with Marvel stuff now.
Wow. Unfortunately, my algorithm always puts those 8 people up as the first in my feed. So, and I would rather not have to rush to go see a movie that I want to see it my time. Like, but if you see that preview number is very high, you're like, okay, my feed could get blown up. So maybe I'm gonna have to move a little faster.
Like, yeah, just don't go to YouTube.
Well, I mean, the other thing is like if it's a movie like Captain Marvel that is sadly being projected at levels we have not seen for years in the MCU, they would want to have at least a good preview number. Like, hey, I know you guys are hearing this movie is some trash, but look at what the audience is saying. The critics are, if we had time, if we had solved this writer strike. We had started this actor strike 3 weeks ago. This wouldn't be a thing. We'd get 80 to 100 million. But trust me, we need this preview number to boost audience turnout.
Jamelin is saying a lot of what I'm thinking. There's really not a lot of competition out there, though. There's nothing at the movie theaters. So just people will go see it. Oh, it's a new movie. When was the last comic book movie in theaters? But the problem is, they've squandered a lot of the goodwill, says Jamelin, that the MCU garnered by putting out a lackluster product. It says a lot that they're losing to literally no one. Exactly. For the critics, and the critics have been really, really fans of the MCU. Before Eternals, which was back in 2021, did they have a rotten thing on Rotten Tomatoes? Jeez, let me look to see what was the lowest one in this stretch of, let's see, in this Endgame era. So let's see. Huh?
I said pre-Endgame.
Let's see. Captain Marvel is 79% with critics. That was the lowest if I don't include of the movies. Let me just do that.
No, it's
Marvels and Humans doesn't count. So
Dark World is probably the lowest.
Let's see. I mean, I'm just going through this. Avengers Age of Ultron was 76%. Let's see. Dark World, you're right, was 67%. Iron Man 3 was 79. I put that way lower. Thor, the first one, was 77. Iron Man 2 was 72%. And Incredible Hulk was 67%. So they've really, outside of the Thor and the Iron Man films and Hulk, have had 85% on these movies at the low. It wasn't until Internals where the tide started turning. Doctor Strange hit 73%. Miss Marvel's 98. Love and Thunder was 63. I mean, it was just barely escaping being rotten too. But Werewolf by Night, Wakanda Forever, Guardians of the Galaxy were good. Quantumania really dinged their track record of, oh man, it's MCU. I'm gonna go see it, and it's gonna get a favorable review from me because of that MCU. Marvel Studios popping up. That was how guaranteed and locked they were. Secret Invasion further killed all the momentum and fanfare they had gotten. And then Marvel's at 58% is not a great sign because it's showing more of the, no, this is more of what we didn't want from Marvel. And if they continue down that path, if Loki season 2 finale disappoints, I don't know where they rebound, where they recover at this point, unless they just start showing up some amazing stuff.
Okay. What was I going to say? You also forgot you added in She-Hulk.
Critics said it was 77%. I mean, they liked it enough. They didn't bash it. But
you're right. Critics didn't bash. The audience did. And I don't think that was just a bunch of fanboys. I think, legitimately, there's a lot of issues with that. And it's like one of the things, when you go to an action movie like a Marvel movie, you might be annoyed with all the green screens and all that stuff, but you want to see a good action movie that looks like you put some money in. The latter products look like they haven't put enough money into the VX and special effects where it looks like this blockbuster movie. It looks like somebody's, as y'all said, sweetened the actual virtual effects and didn't put any time into it. So if the Marvel suffers that too, it's like, well, you guys want me to spend all this money to go see this movie, and it's not half as good as what the product you used to offer. And that's going to be a big blow because what's the next phase movie that's going to get people like, all right, I'm willing to give you guys another chance. Again, this is where the DC vacuum should be like, we saw it. We should have had everything here ready to go as soon as Endgame wrapped up. We should have had our movies ready and not reboot.
Yeah, 80s Kid says Guardians was the last awesome movie I watched. I agree, that was really good. And that was back in May. That's wild. Gotcha.
Wow.
Ryan says Thor the Dark World was probably lowest. I know that's your least favorite. Or is that your least favorite of
No, Love and Thunders.
Okay.
Love and Thunder is 100% I'm never going to watch this movie again. You can't. I remember enough. At the end, so-and-so, that probably won't pay off. God Butcher, Zeus was useless. Yeah, I'm good.
Super Mario Zeus. Afton says, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That was awesome. The last thing from the MCU. Hey, Blake, listen, man, I'm right here with you. I know it's not popular, but I really like Iron Man 2. First appearance, Black Widow. Pretty good street-level bad guy. Tony and Iron Man. Balls out team of ending. I really liked Iron Man 2. I'll defend that movie to MCU early bird haters all day long. I won't defend Iron Man 3 because I hate the twist. I feel like there was a different way they could have done the Mandarin, but I liked Iron Man 2 with Bud and Justin Hammer. I mean, I thought there was a lot to like in that movie. And Black Widow actually being undercover, that was cool. It felt like they were organically kind of pushing the Avengers along without going, Avengers. I mean, I thought it was fun. I really liked it. And I really feel like it's a bad rap based on the quality of other films. I think it's lower on my MCU list, but I definitely don't hate it like a lot of people do.
Why do people hate that movie? Because unless you're like a, Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo, I think Mickey Rourke's character was cool. And they brought a good bad, like I said, all the things you just said. It's like, this is a cool movie. Like Iron Man 3 before the fake out is a great movie. After the fake out is like, are you effing kidding me? This is trash. Like, get out of here. I'm not wasting my time on this movie.
Yeah, I think what happens is people think there's not enough story. It's too much Avengers building as opposed to Tony Stark building. But I mean, I don't understand how that's the case. They do their adaptation of Demon in a Bottle, and yeah, okay, he's wilding out with alcohol because he's dying and doesn't care. And then War Machine steps up. I really, and I thought Don Cheadle was in a bad position, but he really showed up. I mean, he's Don Cheadle, so it's not like, oh, who is this guy that you tried to get to replace Terrence Howard? He sucks. He was solid, and I wasn't like, oh man, I really miss Terrence Howard. I felt like, oh dude, it sucks for you. But yeah, they got Don Cheadle. They're good, and he was fine as he continues to be in the MCU. 80 says Quantumania was awesome.
I'm glad you liked it. I mean, honestly, I think the story it needed the special effects was not up to par. I mean, that's just a big thing to me. It's like you just see that ravine on MODOK, you're like, seriously? Like this does not cut it. Like for that kind of character, that's just doesn't cut it. Like I also say this. I hate when movie or TV treats any character as a joke. Like I hated when She-Hulk made the Wrecking Crew a joke. I think when MODOK was treated as a joke, it's like you don't have. It's like there's actually joke characters you can make, like how Batman has like a Kite Man or somebody like that. They are a joke character. Use that joke character. Don't use somebody somebody else say, well, I don't have a story for this, so I'm going to trash him. Like, just find somebody else. Like, I'll find my character. I'll create, or that other wacky thing, create a character if you want to make it a joke. But
just so long as you don't go the make Riddler a serial killer. That's probably not the way to go. Yeah, I understood what you were saying, Blake. Yeah, I mean, Rhodey and Tony at the end doing their thing. That was fun. Hammer Tech. Great stuff. The Fugitive was the last great movie I saw, but I just rewatched it last weekend. Hey, Ryan, did you see The Burial? I just watched that over the weekend. Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx. I really liked it so much I was like over with my parents the next day and said, hey, you guys will like this movie. And I watched it again with them and still really liked it.
Okay.
Afton Child's with us in the party. I like Iron Man 2. Jamelin says, personally, I prefer Daredevil, Heroes for Hire, Blade, etc. movie with legit martial arts, practical stunts, and moderate VX over, say, Multiverse of Madness or Quantumania. Man, can you imagine if they got, of course I don't blank on his name, is that Stawowski, director of John Wick, on a Blade movie? I mean, geez, how would that be a bad thing? Like, just have Blade going off circa John Wick doing his thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest movie ever. Chaz Stahelski, yeah, butchered his last name. But if he were to do a Blade, if he were to do a Daredevil movie, and I would love to see a Heroes for Hire, just Power Man and Iron Fist. I don't need every character. If you want to do a little cameo with Misty and Colleen, that would be cool. But just those two in a movie would be so much fun. And they haven't done that buddy movie in all of their films yet. And it's like, what are y'all waiting on? This is the perfect duo to do that with.
Yeah, I think that's something that Marvel is missing the boat on. It's like they're cheap. It's like, just like, hey, let's go big. Like, what do people like? We like buddy cop movies. We like buddy movies. Okay, who do we have that fit that bill? Iron Man and Power Fist. And that was one of the standout.
Did you say Iron Man and Power Fist?
I probably did. You know, like I come to when I watch them back, then I'm like, oh, I did say that wrong. So I Power Man and Iron Fist.
There you go.
Like I think
that was green in homage to Iron Fist.
That was one of the standout episodes of Iron Fist season 2. It's like, guys, like, why not do that?
It was great.
It's available. Like, people, if you're trying to get people back, try something like, hey, this stable. We use our characters but we do them in formulas that people are used to. And we can say, hey, yeah, we're trying to be more grounded, practical. We're going to have our cosmic level people do really cosmic, very big things. But when we're having when we want to tell better, more, grounded stories, we have characters ready to go. Like,
and James says, now I want to see Iron Man and Power Fist. Don't we all? Ryan, I've heard The Burial is great, and I can always use more Journey Smollett in my life, so I'll check it out. She's great too. I mean, it's like everybody that you think would be good in this movie, they're really good in it. And it's like, yeah, this should be something that starts to get talked about come award season. I really liked it. So yeah.
Ryan, did you see? Oh gosh, Lovecraft. Like, she was really good in that.
She was.
Yeah.
80s Kid says, could the King show up in Loki finale, or at least a version of Kang? I would assume so. Snake Eyes said, I watched The Flower, the Killer Moon. It was really good. That's awesome.
That's our 5-hour-long movie.
I need to set aside 10 hours to watch it and create my own intermission. Thank you very much, Marty. Ryan says, if there was one comic book movie Quentin Tarantino was born to direct, it's Luke Cage and Iron Fist. He would do a great job. I don't know how. I mean, they would have to have like a team of 25 screenwriters to filter out in Disney appropriate the script, but yeah, it would be really fun.
I was gonna say, yeah. He could do. I mean, Kill Bill 1 and 2 is kind of if you can do that movie, yeah, you're always gonna get you can make that.
Ryan did watch the first episode of Lovecraft and loved it, but I never got back to it. I need to finish the series.
Yeah,
I recommend it. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And it was cool because you're seeing these really great performers who hadn't really gotten their due at that point with Smollett and Jonathan Majors. And it's like, whoa. And then,
oh, gosh. What's the lady from Loki's name? She was in it too.
I would butcher her name. Let's see if I can find it without doing that, because it is quite tricky for those of us who like to try to get people's names right. Let's see. And also had Courtney B. Vance, Michael Kenneth Williams, Anjuan Elise Taylor, Wumu Musaku is her name, I believe, and then Abby Lee. Jamie Chung's in it too, so solid cast all the way around. Definitely worth checking out though, Ryan, especially if you're in a lull of watching TV shows. Speaking of TV shows, let's talk about Invincible season 2, episode 1. Now, Amazon was very kind enough to send along the first half of season 2, and oh my gosh, it's such a crazy, wacky concept to just have the source material be used as your series source material. Oh no.
Who does that? I mean, I have at one point owned every Invincible graphic novel, and if you can do 140 issues basically over a 10-year run, and people still want it, that's telling you maybe just stick to the source material. Wacky coincidence. I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, even at Adam Eve, that was really good. That one, I was like, y'all could give me a whole season of that. That was really cool. But getting to Invincible season 2, episode 1. Wow, that was really fun.
So in the interest of not spoiling anything else that's to come, because what happens is I'm alternating between that and Gen V, watching, recapping. I love that they're allowing Debbie and Mark to grieve Nolan. It's not this thing of 6 months later and then everything's back to normal. It is, they are sitting in it, and that's something we don't see a lot of in live action or animated, for sure. Serial shows where, you're not getting away from this. You're going to have to deal with your emotions, and you two are going to have to figure it out, and people are going to be there to support you and help you, but you two are going to have to work through it on a level that nobody else is. And I love that they're actually doing that, because we're seeing them go through the grieving process. Mark is being invincible, kind of on autopilot, and maybe I take a couple hits, but whatever, maybe some level I have it coming. And Debbie can't go out and rage out and beat up somebody. She just has to live her normal life, knowing, oh shoot, my husband is this mass murderer psychopath. And wow.
And everybody has to, and everyone's telling you, I'm so sorry he's dead. And you're like, you can't tell anybody. You saw him actually what he did to my son. You just have to basically, you're a lot. Everyone saw you're a tragedy, but doesn't know exactly who these people are. It's just like, yeah, my husband died. He was a real estate. He was a great author, and you guys are going to celebrate him. You're going to have him on TV and all these wonderful things, but you're not going to say about who my husband really is. Like, I think you make a good point when you say a lot of TV shows don't deal with people's grieving. I think that is a lost thing in TV. Like, I remember in, like, what was it? News radio after Phil Hartman died. It was like the characters were like, it was tragic, and they literally had to deal with that. It was like, we are a comedy show, but we need you to understand this is hard for everybody, and this will all help everybody kind of get to this next stage. And I think we've skipped that in society. Like, everything's fine. It's like, no, stuff in life sucks, and we all need to kind of figure out our own way through it. But hey, lean on people, but you got to deal with it. Like, don't put this in. Like,
of course, ironically, you and I were both of the recast T'Challa. Let's not go through it. And I think in the long run, it was, yeah, you could have just recast T'Challa. But that's what I think made Wakanda Forever such a emotional, different movie that we've seen from the MCU, where it's like, nope, you're going to have to sit here as we all process our grief together. And I think it made for a good movie. I don't think it made for an enduring Black Panther trilogy going forward, but it was definitely an interesting version of that story and saying goodbye on screen to Chadwick Boseman. But the action sequences in Invincible are so fun. I think their music choices are really good, even though most of the songs I'm like, who's this? It's like, oh, cool, that does fit this scene, this moment really well. And I feel like they captured the superhero experience really well. Of course, the cartoon's a little bit easier than live action, but I just feel like when he's flying, I really get that sense that he's flying and how free it is to just coast and drift along the air. And on the flip side, when he's fighting, it is like, oh, ow, that looks like it really hurt.
I mean, especially for anybody who read the Invincible comics, it's a violent. The image does not shy away from all the violence, and there's some stuff later on. I don't know how many seasons there's some rough stuff that happens in this series.
Well, at least we got a season 3. I already know that's coming.
I think Amazon probably is like, you guys keep it at the same budget. I think we're going to keep the same viewership. I think we'll be comfortable. I think, especially because we're following the source material. We don't have, it's like, so you have a built-in audience. Like, if the audience wants to, they bought the comic, they're going to bring people in. We're good. We're like, we can keep these, as long as the actors are down, we're good.
Yeah, it was really good. Ryan says the trailer for Wakanda Forever, No Woman, No Cry was amazing, touching, and emotional, but that was enough grieving for me. Yeah, it was, especially the way the movie itself played out, where it's like, geez, it's a lot. It's kind of heavy.
Yeah, I mean, that was the reason why we I think me and Jeff were both feeling like they should have recast, was because we want to see a Black Panther that goes on to be a big part of the next round of Avengers, not a character. And like, I mean, that's I mean, there's other reasons, but I wanted to see Black Panther, this dude who was like a really cool Avenger. Now, I don't think they're going to put the new Black Panther is that high profile a character, and that's what's going to suck.
I think we're okay to reveal who Black Panther.
Oh my gosh!
Spoiler alert! Hello. Blake says, I never thought I would love generic superheroes so much. Kudos to the story and character development. Every time there's a big battle, I'm nervous that any character can be brutally killed. And it's so true. And
yeah,
and it's not just like a concern. It is a reality with this thing. And I love that comic book series. And it's definitely one of those that put Image back on my radar because when I was reading comics, not that I've stopped, but I mean, I remember the seismic change when so many Marvel creators left and formed Image. And, over the years, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, Image. But Invincible was one of those like, oh, I've got to read this every month because this story is so great. The little homages to Marvel DC characters without just wholesale going, this is that character. And they twist on so many superhero tropes where it's, oh shoot, you went a totally different direction than they ever would have gone with Spider-Man, that they ever would have gone with Superman and Batman, etc. And it's like, wow. And I think that's what made Invincible so special. That's what's making the show so special, because even though I'm pretty sure I know exactly what's going to happen, it's so much fun watching it in even animated action. And it's so well done on every level.
I think the other good thing about Invincible, the TV show, is it's so good you don't want to go and read the comic to see what's next. You're just like, I want to see what you guys do that I probably know in my head. It's probably in here, but I want to see what you guys do. And it's been so well executed. I think, Blake, what you said, be very warm. you like everybody. it's no one is safe. It's very yeah, it just worked. But you want it. At no point do you seem like it's. I mean, it kind of is gratuitous violence, but everything has a point, and I think that's just like anyone who is passed is going to have a wow. That was a big moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Jalen says, I appreciate that so far Amazon shows that are adapted from comics have really respected and in some cases enhanced the source material. Makes sense for a company whose foundation is as a bookseller. That's a great point. And it's just like it's right there. You can sell your books right here. Hey, buy Invincible Volume 8 on Amazon. Hey, this is actually true to what I just watched. So there's a lot of symmetry there. And I think it's a great story. So I'm really excited as I'm watching and as I'm seeing characters from the comics, Sterling K. Brown. And I just need to shout out the entire voice cast because they're really good. They've got, I feel bad for the lower talent or the people who are just voice actors who aren't going to be on TV shows, aren't going to be on movies primarily. They're doing all those really great voice acting for characters that you love in video games, cartoons. They've got some heavy hitter talent on this thing, and that cast is amazing. Sterling K. Brown's character is really vital to the series. That's all I'll say. And he was a great choice for that character. I'm really excited about that.
Well, Jeff, I want to ask you a follow-up kind of, especially with how Amazon has done Invincible. I think like kind of what Jamie was saying, it's like I've looked at kind of some of where they've gone from deviating from the source material of the boys, and it's like they actually made some really good calls. Like some of the stuff in the boys, you say, "Oh, this wouldn't work." It was like it's very much the boys is over the top, excessive comic book action, but a serious kind is like, no, we can use this and make it better. And I think for the most part, it seems like they've done a great job of enhancing the material. What's your thought, especially as you're watching Gen V? That I see.
So as I often said, the boys TV show is way better than the comics. I think what happens, we've seen it with Garth Ennis, we've seen it with Mark Miller, that they go really extreme with their writing because some of it is to generate some buzz, some excitement. Oh man, I'll never see this in Marvel and DC. And the other part is they're just like, who cares? This is what I want to do with my comic. I'm going to go as crazy and wild as I want to. And they're not thinking, hey, how will this be adapted to a TV show, a movie? They're just whatever. And you even saw that with Robert Kirkman with the early days of the comic book of The Walking Dead. He killed Shane off so early in that, and Carol is long gone by the midway point of the series. And it's like, oh, wow. Who knew this character would be so popular? Andrea in the comic book is like Carol in the TV show, where no one can stand Andrea in the TV show. She's like a major hero character in the comic book. And I think what you see is with a writer's room, with the writer creator engaged, they can go, oh, yeah, that makes sense to tweak that and do this differently. That was a really good idea. That was a good call. I wish I had done that if I had thought about it a little bit more and had a crystal ball and could predict where the audience was going to feel about this character. And excuse me again. So we see this all the time with these adaptations. Like I will always go on record saying I did not love the Civil War comic book at all because it was a long mini series and it just required so much disbelief in the characters with what they were doing. And, Mr. Fantastic, Hank, and Iron Man setting up a prison for the criminals. And it was like, whoa, this is way off base from what these characters had previously done. Iron Man convinces Peter Parker, hey, dude, tell everybody your identity. It'll work out just fine. We're not going to need to do this magic bullet that's going to destroy everything with Mephisto later on. It'll be fine, dude. Don't worry. So, and it had a lot of problems. It killed off Bill Foster, and it's like, why? You have like 10 black characters. Why would you kill one of them? So there's a lot of issues. They were bringing in actual villains to help the fight. Made very little sense. But the movie, so much better. The video game, so much better. And I think in the right hands, those things can be improved and fixed dramatically. But then you take a show like Invincible and they're like, we're good. We don't need to fix it. And it's solid. Let's just do that. And let's see here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody while I was going on my long soliloquy. Blake says, true, Jayce, I've had the opportunity to buy the Invincible Omnibus and did not. I don't think it'd be disappointed, Blake. And I really love how the show does so much good work mimicking the art style of the comic.
Yeah, that was a good get too, because I know I'm picking on Young Justice, but seeing the difference on art in season 1 and 2, and then you get this really noticeable drop off in seasons 3 and afterwards. So you're getting something that really mimics a comic book. You're like, I really do feel like I'm getting taken into back into that universe. Like, Invincible looks like Invincible, not that's some random dude with a costume.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing for you, that the DC animated movies, even the really good ones that were based off of comic book stories, deviated from the art, where I think it really would have enhanced it. Like Superman versus the Elite, that's the first one that comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
The art in that, I think Doug Monk drew that story in Action Comics. And I think if they'd used his art style and really focused on his, it would have had so much more impact than the slightly more cartoonish version they went with. It was kind of like this tonal clash where it was this very violent for Superman story, really serious. Doug Monk's art really conveyed that, but I don't think the animated designs really did it justice. So I like when they use that, especially for DC. They're doing all these comic stories. Go with the art style that matches it. And I think when they do that, I think we've seen that with Gotham by Gaslight. It looks better and it fits more with it. I think if they had done Jim Lee's art for Hush, that'd have been awesome. Tim Sale's art for The Long Halloween, that would have been even cooler.
Okay. Like if you had switched the art style from Hush and put that into the League, that would have worked, I think.
Into which one?
Into the Superman versus Elite. I think
if you're gonna do a Jim Lee style, that would work for a lot of them. But yeah, that's kind of a cheater. But yeah,
it's a cheat code. But is messy as that story. That wasn't messy, but as violent as the Elite is, having big head Superman, towering over Lois. It's like, wait, this is really looking weird versus how ruthless the Elite is. Even in finale where you see Superman kind of like, which that was
so great. What a great payoff.
Oh man,
that was awesome. All right, let's see here. So Janewin, Walking Dead comic spoiler. Kirkman has even said that if he could go back, he would have cut off Rick's hand. And that was way early from where things were in the comic book. And I think another improvement was the take on the governor in the TV show versus the
Oh yeah.
comic book take, where he looked like Major Blood's sleazier brother, having that cool, dapper Dan for the governor in the show, I thought really worked well, especially when he went super heel, got a little eye patch going. I mean, yeah. But I think what's really great is that Kirkman can go, yeah, I didn't do that as well as the show did. I think there's some things he did do better, but the fact that he can go, yeah, they fixed that for me. So I think that's cool. And Ryan, you're right. I think Mark Miller absolutely thinks when and how this will be adapted. After Civil War, he stopped writing comics and only writes new IPs to pitch to movie studios. And I don't know, I'm going to be just totally upfront. I did not love Mark Miller's writing. I thought he was way too extreme. Civil War sums it up perfectly, but I really enjoy what he's done now, like Magic Order, and some of it is his deal with Netflix. It's like, cool, what can I do to make a show that'll be a hit, that'll be a movie? I mean, there's so much money in it, and I would rather see creators do that on their end as opposed to a guy like Jim Starlin who co-creates Thanos and then, hey, I got a little scene here in Endgame. Was it? He said that he got paid more for Batman versus Superman or Justice League for a character he created than he did in Endgame, which is wild to me. So, I love to see creators doing something that can get them paid as opposed to Marvel or DC or whatever. I really like what Miller's been doing with Prodigy, Magic Order, Ambassadors. There's so much stuff that I've really enjoyed as he's creating and doing this partnership with Netflix. And it's like, dude, that was good too. I really enjoyed that. But I do feel you on that.
What was you on your site? One of the comic books when you say like they introduce a crossover that no one expects. Like even I'm like I never read the comic and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like
it's been wild. Big Game has been. I feel like now I just recently reread Crisis, my annual rereading of it. And I kind of feel like that sense where it's just like, oh man, how'd you work this character into this crossover? That should make no sense, but somehow it is, and it's been a really fun story. And I feel like he could have done this for 12 issues. It's ending this month, so I can't imagine how he's going to wrap everything up. If he's going to do a cheat code ending or whatever. But like I said, I'm really on board with this whole Miller world since he's partnered with Netflix. Just love his stuff.
But shift back to comics again. When this one, I like how was it Jeff Johns and some of the DC creators left because basically that thing is like we want to get paid for our stuff. We don't want anybody else to screw up our stuff 5 years later because they want to tell some story that makes no daggone sense. Like we want to own our characters. We want to write and say, here's our character. If someone wants to do an IP, that's cool. You guys do it. You own all your stuff, but everybody's on this banner. I think that is a great thing for anybody. Like if you have it's almost like Suge Knight, hey, if you get tired of, Puffy coming in here, come to Death Row. It's like that's what I would want to do. I'm not pitching to Marvel or DC anymore. I'm pitching in. I'm like, can I get in? Like, I want to do this and have my stories. And if I run out in 12 issues, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about what they're going to be doing with their studios. And I definitely think losing Jeff Johns is a huge loss for DC, especially with whatever heck it is they're doing with the Justice Society these days. Sorry. Could not get to the mute fast enough. Yeah, those are really good ways to get Invincible. And gosh, I feel like once you start, you're just gonna be like speed reading Flash style. Snake Eyes, you want to know how is Rick alive? Or are you talking about the TV show or the comic book? Because I won't spoil one of those for you. Is anyone excited for Skeleton Crew? And Ryan says yes, and as much as I always want more Star Wars product, but no more than that because they haven't shown anything. Yeah, I don't know. I'll say no, and maybe they'll surprise me. He says absolutely. I really hope Hasbro delivers next year the prequel stuff. They're not. I mean, I almost wish they wouldn't do so many TV shows because it's kind of costing us more dipping back into the prequel, the original trilogy era, because we've got to get a whole new series for this new show on Disney Plus, where I'm really excited they're finally doing Battle Droids versus Clone Trooper 2-packs. Give me all of them. But yeah, I'm little bit worried about that.
Like,
I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Snake Eyes won't do it. Will not do it. So let's see. Where else are we? Legend of Zelda. Right. Okay. So Legend of Zelda is getting a movie, perhaps inspired by the success of Super Mario Brothers this year. I think still the second highest grossing film of 2023. And we're going to get a Legend of Zelda live action film. I'm excited about this because Wes Ball, who directed the Maze Runner series, which I really enjoyed, he's going to be directing this one. And he did really good work with the action sequences in the Maze Runner. So I know sci-fi and fantasy kind of go hand in hand sometimes. And I think he can translate a lot of what worked in Maze Runner for the Legend of Zelda, Link, their whole universe. I'm excited to see what he's going to do with it. What do you think?
Well, I think I'm like after like what was it? Dungeons and Dragons. Like seeing if you guys are treating movies like this serious and you guys say, hey, we're gonna put some money behind it. We see how successful Mario Brothers could be, even though it's a cartoon. Let's get a decent director in here that can actually shepherd this thing, and we'll come up with some good screenwriters. We have video games to go. I'm excited to see what they can do. Like, I mean, it's like when you tell me like the guy, he's the guy who directed Maze Runner. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, you sign me up. That should be. I at least know there's going to be some good action scenes, and that excites me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how deep you need to make a Legend of Zelda storyline. I feel like it's a classic fantasy bit where, okay, we'll just take. I mean, you don't need to go too hard. Just go from the first game, make that into a movie, and let's see if there's an audience for more, because I feel like there would be.
I think so. Well,
Chamberlain, if you don't want to worry about the producer trying to be all up in the video, all on the record dance, come to Death Row.
Yeah. I really do think that half the creators can be like, because even as much like private, I get annoyed with people taking other people's work and then putting something on it. It's like, just make your own stuff. Like you're creative. Like the reason you got in the door is because you're creative. Use that talent. Don't crib off somebody else's work.
I don't know if you've been reading a lot of DC lately.
I have not.
Know if I would say they're all creative.
I have not. There's a reason, because it's not been very creative. It's like, it's sad. It's like
Afterchild does not want Tom Holland as Link. Maybe Tom Holland doesn't want to be Link. I mean, I think they could find a guy with curly-esque hair to play Link that doesn't have to be already bogged down into a major series. I don't know if they necessarily want him, because I mean, he's Spider-Man at this point to that same audience.
He's Nathan Drake too. Like,
well, who knows if that's going to get a sequel? But I mean, he's Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
I was going to say, like, if you wanted somebody, they probably are going to try and pitch it to Timothy Chalamet.
I don't know why he would do that either.
I wouldn't.
Like, I don't want to do comic book movies because someone told me I shouldn't do them. But I guess people are excited about doing them. I'm kind of ambivalent towards it. But I don't know if you'd want to do a video game movie either. He's doing Young Willy Wonka, which seems to me to be a worse prospect than some of these other things that people keep throwing his name out for. But
well, you're excited about him. What was it? Not The Greatest Showman. Like, if you like that kind of movie, I think that Willy Wonka seems like it's in that tradition, and it's like, hey, nobody's gonna say it's the worst movie ever.
Jamelin, so you say what? I think Dawn of DC has been pretty decent. I think some of the newer series and latter part of the year have been a little weak, though. So I used to read everything that DC put out during the Rebirth era because I really enjoyed that. Dawn of DC has some really good things. So Superman, of course. I used to have Batman on the list. Now it's long gone. Nightwing, Titans, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, really good. I'm still trying to figure out what I think about this new Flash run. I think it's been really creative, so I'm giving that a longer rope than I would some others, and I'm like, I don't know about this. But I think there's some stuff that's been good. It's just there's been too many series where I'm like, well, that's not how that character has ever been written. Why is this writer who doesn't seem to know this character on this book doing different things with the character? That's never been done. That's not going to matter 5 years from now, 5 minutes from now. And I think that's what's kind of been a problem for where they've been trying to go and what they've done. There's a core, maybe 10 books, and I cannot believe I went that long without mentioning The Greatness of Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Teen Titans, and Shazam. Another 3 really strong books. So that's probably got me to 8, close to 10. I'm sure there's 2 more that I'm forgetting, but compared to the glory days of DC Rebirth, I am way out on so much of DC. And I think in large part is because editorial is just like, whatever, guys, you can do whatever the heck you want to do. And there's not enough pushback. There's not enough. No, that's not a great idea for this character. Don't take them in that direction. But those that are good are so far and away better than what they've been doing. All right. Atham says, Legend of Zelda is being made by Sony. The person from all the Spider-Man movies going to be of it. Yo. Hold on. I'll get back to you real fast. Cough, cough, Power Girl. Yep. And I did not want to just throw Power Girl and Fire and Ice under the bus, but since you introduced it, heck yeah. I mean, Power Girl is the embodiment, the literal embodiment of the cliche strong female woman. She's totally her own woman, and they have butchered her character to the point she's unrecognizable. I mean, they call her Paige. Jeff Johns is like, nope, sorry. She's still Karen. She's doing her thing. Her best friend is not Oracle. Her best friend is Huntress. I'll explain why Huntress is here later. And Fire and Ice, I don't know what they're doing with this YA take on them. Not liking it because Fire and Ice were a great duo, just like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. And this new series they're in is trash and it's not great. I mean, I had to stop on a second. Hawk Girl is also terrible. The writer is focusing more on Galaxy than Shara, or Kendra. I don't know what they're doing. It's like, hey, would you like to write a book? Sure. What have you done before? Well, not a lot. Great. You're perfect. Come on in. We love these fresh takes on these characters that people have been loving. Another book that I do like is Steel. Michael Dorn of Star Trek fame is writing it. He actually gets a character, so it's been really good and a lot of fun. Of course, it's a limited series, so they have good titles, but then those are the short ones, and then the ones that are like, please. The other ones become limited series because no one likes to read them. So
I mean, even I don't know. I know you remember this, but it's like, remember Jeff Johns was like kind of after all these butchering creators screwed everybody up. Jeff Johns is basically, okay, I can make this all make sense. Like, I can make Parallax work with Hal Jordan. I can do this. I can make Flash work with all of this.
I can explain that.
And now you've got creators who are doing gosh knows what. And like you said, 5 years now, somebody's going to have to figure out, and there's no Jeff Johns to make all of it work. It's,
with the magic
like, what we got is a crisis, and it all didn't matter. So go nuts.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of soured me on the overall direction of DC is when they did Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth, and it felt like no creator cared about it besides Jeremy Adams. He was like the only writer who was trying to tie in to this massive DC event. Everybody else was like, yeah, cool. And then it was like, but we're going to focus on Batman, Catwoman, the Gotham War, which was abysmal. So, yeah.
Which one was Dark Crisis? Like, was that leading up to Crisis Metal?
Oh, let's see. Joshua Williamson and Daniel Samperi, I think is how you say his last name. Really fun story. It was really well done. It just felt like they had all this great stuff. It elevated the Titans to the main team, and I think that's been the most lasting repercussion of it, but it was really good. The art looked great. The characterization of the characters was like, yeah, okay, that's how Nightwing would sound. Mr. Terrific's here. Awesome. So it's just a lot of great stuff, but I felt like DC did not give the love, the promotion, the attention, and hey, this is the big game-changing event, and then it's like, oh, we're going to do another 10 the next few months. So, yeah, they really soured me on that. All right. 80s Kid says, yo, didn't watch the trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Yes, Stickman says Planet of the Apes looks great. My most anticipated movie next year. Yeah, that's been cool. What do you think about this? Speaking of cool, Ghostbusters trailer for Frozen Empire.
I didn't watch that trailer yet. I didn't know if that was a real trailer. I
It was
did
good.
watch the Planet. I watched the Planet of the Apes one, and I'm like, okay, this is more getting to kind of something I probably don't even remember watching as a kid, but it's very much going into that old school Planet of the Apes that I thought was going to get like all of like the last Planet. I'm like, oh, we're not going there yet. So
Yeah.
now we're getting to Caesar's kid and kind of the evolution of the world of apes. I'm like, I keep coming back to that Planet of the Apes. I own all the movies and I keep coming back. Like, all right, this is cool. Like, it's not all action. There's a lot of story being brought into it on how the world has changed. And I'm like, yeah, I can dig this. So, and I thought the trailer did a good job of like, we're continuing the story.
Snake Eyes says, Jason, I'm here. I didn't know there was a Ghostbusters trailer, but I watched Planet of the Apes trailer. As long as we can delay Mark Wahlberg's Planet of the Apes, I'm good. So, fine.
Well, I mean, remember, that was introduced in the first movie on the Planet of the Apes series.
Yeah, I know. Just keep
it pushed back. Hey, like always honor the stuff, but then if you choose to go in a different direction, yeah, go ahead, go nuts.
Yeah, just like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni keep pushing along that sequel trilogy. We'll get to it, but not anytime soon.
Oh well, enjoy that. The new movie with all our Resistance heroes that you didn't care about because we never developed them.
Ryan says the new Planet of the Apes didn't have Mark Wahlberg. What's the point? Now there's two reasons. Jalen says I haven't seen any trailers. I don't really seek them out. I prefer to see them in the theater. I don't avoid them, but I prefer to run across them organically. Have you been to the theaters lately? Because I feel like I have not. So I've been missing watching 18 trailers before the movie I'm there for.
I'm trying to think what the last movie I actually saw beside, I think it might have been Barbie. Because I saw that before Oppenheimer.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
From what you told me. And that was your $100 movie experience. So, yeah, I can see why you don't go to the movies that often.
Hey, the popcorn and the pizza getting delivered to your seat was very nice. So.
It was all worth it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this Mean Girls sequel / re-envisioning. It's based off the musical, and I did not ask for this. Don't care about it. I mean, I don't feel like, and I know I'm going to be shocked to wait. Mean Girls came out when, but you know, I think everybody has access to things where they can watch Mean Girls, and it's a really funny, really good movie. 2004, I was right. But, 20 years ago does sound like a long time, but I'm good. I could just pop in the Blu-ray and go, yes, plastics, bring it on.
That was another one of those. I was on Instagram. I'm like, oh, they're doing a remake? Wait, Tina Fey's in this? You had it was like, wait a minute, like, wait a minute, I thought that they were going to just reimagine it, like, kind of, hey, for a new generation. Like, no, you're actually in this movie. Like, did you watch the first movie? It's funny. It's hilarious. Did you really think they need to redo it? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah. And of course, I haven't seen the musical, so I don't know what's different, but I kind of feel like, does it need to be? I don't think enough has changed that we need a new one.
Who cares what's different? Like, oh, this one, Regina George, isn't horrible? Like, I don't care. I can just watch Regina George being horrible. Like, it actually makes sense. Like, it is like I hear that phrase mentioned so much, and we all kind of know. I know exactly what it means. Like, it's the bullying girls who run the school. Like, nothing's changed. Like, I don't need to have that reimagined for a new generation. It's like, it's always a daggone same. It's been there since high school was invented. There's a clique that runs things. Like, you don't need to say, oh, well, this is going to be the Mean Girls for this generation. It's called Mean Girls. Like, what are you?
Yeah, just not at all feeling this. But you shared with me something else that I thought was incredible. Matthew Perry, it's always weird how when celebrities die and you hear all these stories, largely good, after the fact. Now, this is definitely something that I wish I had known beforehand, because Jeez.
Whew.
This is, man, he deserves a medal for this one.
He does not deserve a medal in a cuddle. He deserves a medal for this one. No, it's that.
Now, Stickman, Lindsay has done a Netflix rom-com movie that wasn't bad. I mean, it was a Christmas one, and she was fine in it. I mean, it's not vintage young Lindsay who had the world as her oyster. It was like she's gonna be like one of these great stars. It's called Falling for Christmas, and wow, it was just last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
We're at that November stage where it feels like what happened last year was 2 years ago. I think the movie was fine. I mean, it wasn't like this is remarkable, but she was good. But yeah, I think we should just have her in that.
Yeah.
That's her path. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so the story I sent to Jeff, and that it's been making its round, is there was a time in season 6 or 7 of
that sounds like a
Friends.
season 7 move.
It was like, yeah, it was a six or 7. This is right before Monica and Chandler get engaged. Bing. They were going to have a scenario when, at the end of the season, where Chandler was going to caught, Monica going out with her main dude, Richard, and they were going to change it so Chandler was going to get so mad that he was going to have an affair.
They were on a break
without being on a break. As I said, like me and Jeff were saying, like if they had done that, that would have killed the show. Like that would have.
You forgot the payoff though. What happened with that idea?
Oh, I'm sorry. The payoff was Matthew Perry said no. It's like, he's like, the audience will never forgive me for this, especially because his character had so made this point. She's so much better than me. So him magically hooking up with anybody would, like, Ross was kind of dicey, but most everybody could kind of see what it was. Like, Chandler and Rachel, Chandler and Monica would have killed that show. They would have not gotten to 10 seasons. That would have been a quick death for that show. And Matthew Perry said, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that one. Yeah. Like, I'll work with you guys, but that's not going to happen. And the actress who was going to play his hookup actually is a flight attendant in there. So they still used her in there, but it was just not this big series destroying move, which we all should. I mean, anybody who enjoys Friends and Nick and Knight should very much appreciate Matthew Perry even more for that, because that show would have been, oh, remember that Friends show? Yeah, I don't remember. But
that would have been the anatomy of what happened to it.
Like he basically did a reverse Barney. Like I could, but no, I think that's a great idea. I should be me leading the show. No. So, I've been watching the show longer than I should at this point, Big Brother. And Big Brother, for those of you who don't know, is a reality show on CBS. It's the season finales tomorrow, and I'll be watching Loki and wrapping up Laos Finger Files because I do not care. Basically, these strangers go into the house and they do competitions every week to determine who's going to be the power head of household, and they nominate people to send out the house for reasons that typically don't make sense. And this season has been filled with some of the worst gameplay of my entire time watching Big Brother since season 8. It's on season 25 now, so it's been a lot of seasons of watching good, awful, even racist gameplay at Big Brother. You, dear brother, are finally catching up to where I was many weeks, even months ago. Please feel free to go ahead. Okay, so Jeff has been mentioning, watching. Chief's gonna be disappointed. He was in the comments, but Jeff has mentioned Big Brother, and I was like, oh well, I could kind of watch something like late at night. Don't have to pay too much attention to it. So I watched a couple episodes. I'm like, wow, they got rid of this person for no reason at all. wow, that seems really stupid. And then I've been watching because in each episode, like when they do this head of household and or a veto to make sure somebody can stay off the block and not get eliminated, all of the competition was basically geared for younger people and athletes, or maybe an Olympian that they actually have in the show. But there's also older like folks in their 60s in the game to give it a little bit more diversity, but somehow it's like they didn't understand, hey, maybe we should have less things where they have to run around but actually use their brain and remember things. Like but they've geared all the competitions to the stronger, younger people. And it's like, yeah, this is getting a little lame. And
so when you say memory competition, I'm like, dude, I'm almost 50 and my memory is not what it was. So I don't even know if that's the way to go. Maybe like do history things.
I mean, even like a random trivia question where these people who probably not like, I have no idea who this is. Like, hey, what happened in what happened? Who was the president in 1980? Like stuff like that. Like, yeah, like that stuff to make it skew the game a little bit to the the older competitors, but they have not done that. They've gone these very strenuous running, hey, how long can endurance trials? Like, hey, I know you would like to not get eliminated, but let's have you sit on a tetherball for 2 hours and see if you can do it. I'm sure you can do it, lady who does not look like you're an Olympian. Like, technically you're right. But I've just been watching it. It's getting more and more frustrating. It's like, wow, you guys have skewed the competition. And then the players are also, it's like, hey, even if I'm not in this game, I can see there's 2 people in here who are running this whole place. And, hey, they're making all these side deals. And, oh, let's do a final 3. Oh, we'll do a final 4. And it's like, you do understand they're making deals with everybody. And the end point of this game is one person wins money. The other person might get a nominal fee.
$75,000 for the
what's the loser gets what again?
75,000.
75. Not a horrible sum of money for basically your summer, but the winner gets $750,000. There could only be one. It's almost like Highlander. And everyone keeps trying to, hey, I'll work with these guys because they're going to put me in the end of the game. And I'm sure all my house guests who've seen me do absolutely nothing are going to vote for me to win the whole thing. Because my barber actually had I saw who the final 3 is. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, this person.
How's your barber? He's watching it too?
I think he just had it on CBS. And I'm like, I know who this is. I'm like, I don't care. This is so stupid. Like, but it's, again, there's 2 spots that are going to make money. There's no team prize. It's literally, hey, one person makes a whole lot of money, maybe makes a good amount of money, and then this third loser who's probably going to get nothing unless they win a competition to win this, but probably won't because they've never won anything at all. It is so it's been frustrating to watch just because you're like, hey, you guys have last episode I watched, it was one of the guys made this pitch to try and stay, hey, if you keep me in here, and this is a guy who's been winning competitions, like contests, like, hey, I am the counterbalance to these other 2 dudes who win everything. If you work with me, I can get you into at least this second spot of money, or maybe they'll treat, because they hate me so much, they may give you the whole thing. I've seen that happen on the show where one dude was killing the whole show and they were just so spiteful that he was one of the last 2 there. They're just like, just give it to Ian. Like, freaking hell. Like, we're not going to get to anybody. No. And this one, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just let this, and we'll take you out because we didn't like your move you did 2 weeks ago. Instead of, hey, I see what this guy does and it makes a whole lot of sense. And he can get these other guys that we know if we don't eliminate them will knock us down one by one. And of course, I'm in the final 8. and then seeing where I am in the final three. But yeah, this is the exact turning point where you guys should have said he's makes sense, and us two older people who can't beat anybody in competition can save this one guy and actually win and not get knocked out. And it's like, how did y'all not? I'm sorry.
Their gameplay is just stupid. I almost wish you went back earlier because they killed their game in week 2. Stickman goes, the older I got, the more obnoxious the Big Brother people got to me. I stopped watching like 8 years ago. Well, they've had some good seasons, Stickman. They really had some good seasons. Excuse me. I think it was season 23. Let me just look that up real fast because that one was really good. Good gameplay, and the characters the cast was pretty solid. Let's see. Man, I hate Bing. Bing is worthless. Gosh, I really need to stop this. Okay, yeah, 20.
Come on, I'm gonna come over to your house and literally change your default browser.
It's just annoying. It's so bad. Anyway, season 23 is really good. So I know you've missed that one. I'm trying to think of the other ones you've missed in this 8 years. There have been some decent ones, but I really like
you talking to like Monica, and you were telling her like, I need you to see some of these really cool seasons of Big Brother, and there are some of them like that. I don't watch them every year, but the one you got me like actually to watch, I'm like, oh, this is a really fun show. And
which season was that?
That was the Brigade.
Oh, okay.
Like, and then it's like the one with Rachel. It was like, yeah, like these are cool characters and you're actually rooting for them versus, and they're doing fun things that make you want to like, they have such personalities. Like, oh, I really enjoyed that person being there. And this one here, like this season, I don't dislike their personalities. It's just so much like, come on, don't do something stupid. Oh gosh, let me read this one.
Jamie, you're right. It's because my other browsers kept crashing all the time when I'm writing and doing stuff, and this one's stable, but Bing is awful. It is. I don't even understand why it's on any computer. Blaze says, so anybody watch the latest season of Fear Factor? I hated Fear Factor. We're gonna put you into a cage with rats.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Like, would you like to sing out with worms? No, I'm good.
Nope. I'm good. Thank you. So, Hades wanted to know, are we at Dummies of the Week yet? And now we are. Bro Shot, you ran it on Big Brother, but who are your nominees for Dummy of the Week?
I was going to say, you could almost cue me up like the segment before. My Dummy of the Week are the final 8 people in Big Brother who didn't understand who the final 2, almost inevitably were going to be. Because one of them, out of the 3 people win every competition possible. And I'm pretty sure they have a final 2 deal and they've been running it like the whole time. And the third person's like, oh, I'm just happy to be here. It's like, they don't pay you for 3 months of missing work and not hanging out with your family to be in a house for nothing. Your end game of this is absolutely nothing. And I'm not going to, in case any of you guys watch it, I'm not going to say who my real dummy is, but it is definitely the third person in that final 3.
I don't think you have to worry about this group watching it. Stigman says, in honor of Chief, I submit the New York Giants. Yeah, they got boat raced and otherwise humiliated by the Aiden O'Connell-led Raiders. And wow, just a terrible all-around look. I guess my dummy of the week needs to be the studios for taking so long to finally sit down and have an agreement with the actors. Because it's like, I don't think anybody on the outside really cares. Like, oh, great, the strike's over. I mean, for us, that's okay, cool. Now the TV shows are back on. We'll see the stars back on the late night shows with the guys if we care to keep watching them. But it's not really affecting our day to day. But for your business, no, I'm gonna hold my breath and count to 10. That doesn't work. I mean, everybody knows when a strike starts, it's gonna end. It's not like this strike is going to go for years and years. It's just man up, find a couple of extra dollars because you got them, and say, hey, will this much make you happy? What about this much? So, yeah.
And at the end of the day, especially when it comes to actors, there's not a finite amount of good actors. You're going to, whatever their demand is, eventually you're gonna say, you know what, you win. Like, and yes, we're not gonna use the random background performer actor in perpetuity. Like, nobody's gonna want to do that. Like, your next crop of actors is not gonna get paid, so they're gonna be like, they're gonna stay in Middle Tennessee instead of coming to Hollywood. So guess what? You knew you were gonna cave. You just wasted 100 days instead of promoting your money, and you've lost billions of dollars. So
yeah, and of course, I don't care about them losing billions of dollars. All right, well, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Afton Child, Snake Eyes, 80s Kids from the 90s, Stickman, Jalen Parks, Blake Tarpley, James Green, Lonnie Bailey, Ryan Daly, and everyone else. I think I caught everybody in this one. So thank you as always for hanging out with us. Tomorrow, of course, I'll be back on doing a little Lyle's Figure Files, talking about a bunch of stuff, including Jayce. You may want to tune in Batman and Robin figures from McFarlane
I
Toys.
forgot to mention that. Oh, I saw
your
those.
favorite movie. So yeah, we'll be back on tomorrow. Until then, you all have an awesome night. This episode of Lyle's Movie Files